Seismic charges. Stand by.
Hi, my name is Marshall, and this is Waveform. I think it's about time we made another sound with just an iPhone microphone and a laptop. And this time I want to tackle one of the most iconic sounds in the Star Wars universe, the seismic charge. Let's start by looking up how Ben Burtt made the original sound. Alright, here we go.
I prefer not to discuss in detail this sound at this time. After all, can't I keep a few secrets?
Alright, I guess we're going to have to get creative here. Let's take a closer look at the actual sound itself to see what kind of elements we're going to need to record. You can tell from the shape of the wave that it has three distinct parts. The intro to the sound is almost like a vacuum or an air suction sound that increases in intensity before going totally silent. Next we have what's called the transient, or the moment the sound gets very loud for a short period of time. And last we have this long, twangy tail. It almost sounds like a spring or some kind of strange vibration. This is the most distinct part of the sound. Okay, so now that we've identified the three elements of the sound we're going to need to record, it's time to get out there. Today we're going to use exclusively sounds that we find inside. Only inside sounds. For the suction element, I think just about any airy sound with some character will work. The original may have been a wind recording or just a white noise generator. We could never know for sure, but I think this fan above my stove will do just fine. The transient is going to be the toughest element to make convincing. I don't have any explosives at my house, so we're going to have to record something pretty loud and then really beef it up even more later to make it sound like an explosion. Let's see what we can find here.
You don't have to be crazy to do this, but it sincerely helps.
I like the way slamming this glass door sounds. The initial punch is definitely there, and I also like the rumble of the wood that happens right after. That'll be great for transitioning from our transient to the big tail that we have to make. I'll also record the lock on the door for some extra harmonics in case we need them. The tail is the strangest and most recognizable part of this sound. It's super rattly and also super twangy and vibrato-y, so I'm just going to detune the hell out of this guitar and send a prayer up to the Star Wars gods above that I get something good out of it. Now it's time to pull it all together with some effects. Let's start with the suction sound. First, let's make the fan pitch up over time to give it a feeling of increasing intensity. We'll also remove some of that low rumble. Then I'm going to double the track and change up the sample in the left and right ear to widen it up. I'll also hit them both with some dynamic EQ to give it more texture and movement. Next, we've got to somehow turn these door recordings into an explosion. So the first thing I did was layer them on top of each other, and then I changed the pitch to make them feel more punchy together. Next, I threw on some saturation, overdrive, and then an echo effect to tie it all together. This step is really about massaging each effect until you're happy, and then continuing to layer on more and more. It took a while, but eventually I struck a balance that I think works pretty well for the beginning of this explosion. Cool. For the tail, first I cut out a segment of the guitar recording that had the rattling texture that I wanted. Then I sent it to a super wet chorus effect with a very long release and feedback loop. This is where we really start to hear the seismic charge coming to life. We can still beef this up though with some effects and multi-band compression. I also added back on top of this layer some more of the raw string recordings to give it more texture and depth. I ended up with this. Now all we have to do is assemble all of our pieces together and see how it sounds in context. First, I'll play the original Star Wars sound, then our version. It's not perfect, but I think we made a cool sound. Now, I'm not saying that you should always record your own stuff or that expensive mics are a scam, not at all. Samples are great, expensive mics sound great. These things just aren't always necessary. Before giving into the temptation of better equipment, try the best you can with what you have. Because chances are pretty good that with a little creativity, that's all you need. If you like this show and you want to see more game audio content like this, go check out our Patreon community. You can download the Seismic Charge sound that we just made and all the sounds I've made for this show in the Patreon sample pack, which gets bigger every episode. Thanks for watching.